नमामि शंकराचार्य गुरुपाद सरोरुहं यस्य प्रसादान् मूढोऽपि सर्वज्ञोऽहं सदा भवम् कामाक्षी करुणारूपं कामकोटि जगद्गुरुं चिन्मूर्तिं कलये चित्ते शंकराचार्यव्ययम् भक्ताग्रगिरिसम्भूता शंकरार्णवगामिनी पुनातु भुवनं पुण्या श्रीगुरो सरितापगा वेद वेदांत साम्राज्य धर्म कामार्थ मोक्षदम् विद्यारण्यं नमः पुण्यं यो विद्यारण्यमच्छिनत् सदाशिव श्री ब्रह्मेन्द्र धृत सुपद पादुकान् धीरान् परशुवेन्द्रार्यान् ध्यायामि सततं हृदि देवे देहे च देशे च भक्त्यारोग्य सुखप्रदम् ऊध पामर सेव्यन्तं श्री जयेन्द्रं नमाम्यहम् नमामि शंकरान् वाक्य विजयेन्द्र सरस्वतीं श्री गुरुं शिष्टमार्गानुनेतारं सन्मतिप्रदम् सत्यनारायण क्षेत्रात् सत्यव्रतम् उपागतम् आश्रये कामकोटीशं सत्यश्री चंद्रशेखरम् सदाशिव समारंभां शंकराचार्य मध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्य पर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरु परंपराम्. Starting from the auspicious occasion last year when our Shri Kanchi Kamakoti Moolamna Sarvagya Peethadipati Jagadguru Shri Shankara Vijayam Saraswati Shankaracharya Swamigal performed Abhisheka to Ramanatha Swami with his own hands at Rameshwaram and completed his Tirtha Yatra with the prarthana of doing Anusandhana of the original Shri Shankara Bhagavatpāda Charitra texts. We have started this prayatna and until last Paksha, Jyeshtha Krishna Paksha, an entire year has been completed starting from the earlier date of Ashadha Shukla Ekadashi, and now we are at the next Ashadha Shukla Ekadashi. And in these 24 Pakshas, on the day of the first Upanyasa, immediately on the next day, with the view to keep the tradition that Dutiya Vichitti should not happen. On the second day, we also did a second Upanyasa. Therefore, a total of 25 Upanyasas have been completed so far. And right now, in this 26th Upanyasa, we are about to examine the 35th Prakarana of the Anandagiriya Shankara Vijayam, which was composed by one Anandagiri Swami, a direct disciple of Shri Bhagavatpāda, in which he describes the discussions that Bhagavatpāda had with the followers of various matas. And in the previous Prakaranas, we saw the discussions that Bhagavatpāda had with the followers of Indra Mata at Indraprastha, which is Dehali, very well known, and also the followers of Yamamata at a place called Yamaprastha, which should be somewhere nearby. It is not clear where it is. And from there, this Prakarana shows that Bhagavatpāda came to Prayagraja. Tasmat prapa prayagakhyam sthalam punya vivardhanam gangayaha yamunayascha saraswatyascha sangamam. Bhagavatpāda came to Prayagraja, which is a place which increases punya multifold, where Ganga, Yamuna and Saraswati all together merge. Tatra paramaguru samasthite varunopasakaha pashachinnhaha ayupasakaha dhvajachinnhaha भूमिदेवोपासकाः पूर्णाङ्काः तीर्थोपासकाः बिन्दुचिह्नाश्च समागत्य तीर्थपति प्राणनाथ अनन्त जीवनदाख्याः स्वशिष्यैः सह idammuchuhu. So when Bhagavatpāda came there, the followers of 4 different matas, it is described that they came here, and this in a single prakarana, the Acharya describes the discussion that Acharya had with all 4 of them. In the earlier Prakaranas, there was some slightly more detailed discussion with the follower of each mata. Therefore, a separate Prakarana was given there. And here, actually, the followers of Varuna, Vayu and Bhumi matas, very brief, their discussion is. And the follower of Udaka or Jala or Tirtha mata, that has some slight detail. So, the author of this text gives all of them together. So, these 4 people, by name Tirthapati, who is obviously Varuna, the lord of the Tirthas, and Prananatha, the lord of Prana, the life-giving air, which is again Vayu, and Ananta, which is another name for Adishesha, who bears the earth on his head, and Jivanada. So, because water is what gives life. So, these proponents of these respective matas, they came to Bhagavatpāda along with their Shishyas, and they say, Swamin Acharya Asmadiya Matam Ativichitram Atyanta Punyadam Shunu. So please listen, O Acharya, to our Mata, which is very unique and which gives lots of Punya. So he says, the first person says, aham kila tirthapatihi madisho varunaha sarvadeva pandita charanara vindaha sarvesham jivanadaha iti cha sarvotkrishtaha seva upasaniya iti. My name is Tirthapati and my Lord is Varuna and his lotus feet are bowed to by all the devatas and he is the one who gives life to everybody. So he is the greatest of them. He is the one who is fit to be worshipped. That's all. Not much more detail is given here. Tatah Prananatha Swaminam Nattva, the follower of the Vayu Mata, he speaks to Acharya, Swamin Mama Matesho Vayu Kila Sarvadeheshu Pranarupaha Sekeva Lokaihi Upasaniyaha. So my Lord is Vayu, and he is obviously in the form of the life-giving breath in every single living being's body. So he should be worshipped by everybody. And even the Upanishad says, Ye Pranam Brahma Upasate, Prano hi Bhutanam Ayuhu. The very well-known fact that prana, vayu, is what gives the life to all living beings, and that quoting that fact, Upanishad also says that speaks about those who do upasana of prana as brahmavastu. So tad ataha pranopasakānām asmākam tadanga parishuddha gātrānam na vichārah kartavyah ihacha amutra cha. So those of us who do upasana of prana, by the movement of the prana in all our in the throughout our body, we are purified. So our bodies are purified and we have absolutely nothing to worry about whether in this world or the next world. So then this is the Vayu Mata, and the next Mata, the Bhumi Mata. Tatah Paramagurum Ananto Nattva Idamuvacha Swaminna Madhya Matam Uttamam Bhumikila Sarva Karanam. My Mata is the greatest. So this is because the earth is obviously the cause of everything. It gives life to everything. Whatever is born on the earth. And the Veda mantra, which starts Yona Prithvi Bhava Drikshara and so on, it shows the greatness of the of Bhumi. And obviously all devatas are present in Bhumi, and therefore Bhumi is the greatest. And those of us who worship Bhumi, we have absolutely nothing to worry about, whether in this world or the next. Then the fourth person, Jivanada, the Upasaka of the Tirtha, he speaks in somewhat more detail. He comes and pays respect to Bhagavatpāda and says, Swamin Manmatam Adiva Vichitrataram Tirthasya Brahmarupattat Tadupasanameva Sarvair Moksha Kartavyam. So all those who desire moksha, they should do upasana of tirthas. Tad Virikta Brahma Bhava. So there is no Brahmavastu apart from tirthas, is his assertion. So obviously, Tirtha Seva is definitely very important in our Sanatana Dharma. There is no doubt about that. Then he further extols that, and especially because this is the Prayagaraja Kshetra, it seems that it is very appropriate that because it is a Tirtha Kshetra, there is importance of Varuna also there, and definitely there is a huge empty space and lots of wind blowing there. Those who have gone there will definitely know this. So it also seems natural that the upasakas of Vayu would be there, and obviously it is an important kshetra on the earth. So the upasakas of earth also may be there. And finally, obviously it is the most important aspect there is that it is a tirtha kshetra. So the upasakas of tirthas, those who consider tirtha to be the greatest, they are also there. And this fourth person, he speaks to Acharya, Triveni Tirtha, Hindu Sevana Matrena Brahmahatyadi Dosha Shantar Bhavati, just by resorting to a single bindu, single drop of this Triveni Tirtha, lots of sins like Brahmahatya and so on are expiated. Darshana Matrena Jaivo, Itikechat Bhaganti, Ambatvat Darshanan Muktihi Najane Stanajam Phalam. So there is a Tirthriveni Stuti by Narada where he says, Oh Amba, but just by having darshan of you, I feel that one can even attain moksha. In which case, what about the phala of those who are doing snana in you? Because there is nothing beyond moksha. So such greatness is there for tirtha, and even the Vedas show the importance of jala or of tirthas by saying that apova idam sarvam vishwabhutani apaha pranaha apaha prasavaha apaha annam apaha amritam apaha Sarva Devata Apaha. So many words extolling the greatness of Jalam or water, because Everything that is created from water. That is how it is described here. The life force of all living beings is from water. All animals require water. Water is like nectar. Food comes from water, and all devatas reside in water. This is the meaning of this mantra. And so, water is, and also all devatas are present there. Therefore, water is Parabrahmavastu. And those of us who are doing upasana of this tirtha, we have absolutely nothing to worry about either in this world or the next. That is a common factor to everybody. Tasmat bhavantopi mokshakankshanaha sarvada sarvarthada tirthopasanam gurudhvam. So because you also, O Bhagavat Shankara Swami, you also desire moksha, so you also do upasana of tirtha. Is the advice, the recommendation that everybody gives so cordially to Bhagavatpāda. Iti prapte paramagurubhir ramuchyate. Ho ho tirthapati prananatha ananta jivanada akhyaha yuyam sarudham. Okay, you people please listen to me. Yushpan matani apramanani jagatkarana vakya viruddhatva. So Bhagavatpāda says that your matam has no basis. How can Bhagavatpāda say this? Because tirtham is very important, definitely in our Sanatana Dharma. So what is Bhagavatpāda trying to say? The Bhagavatpāda is trying to say that tirtham, it is an aspect of Bhagavan, no doubt. That is why it is given its own importance. And even Bhagavatpāda in his own stotras, he has said that Bhagavati tavatire niramatra shanoham vigata vishaya trishnaha krishnam aradhayami. So the role of tirthas, definitely we have to do seva to tirthas, seva of tirthas. We have to bathe in them and such, and we have to stay in the Nadi Tirtha Kshetras, on the banks of such tirthas. We have to sit and do anushtanas, but we have to meditate upon that Bhagavan, whose Anugraha Shakti is coming out in the form of these tirthas. But we cannot say that the tirthas are themselves Bhagavan. They are an aspect of Bhagavan, they are an Anugraha of Bhagavan, but they are not themselves Bhagavan. Right? So that is what Bhagavatpāda is trying to say. And even the previous mata, Bhumi. Yes, Bhumi is the adhara of all living beings that we know of. That is why and it is also considered as Bhumi Mata. That is why it is said that Janani Prithvi Kama Dughaste. This Bhumi is our Janani, no doubt about that. But again, as far as Upasana, you can worship Bhumi, you can pay respects to Bhumi, no doubt, no problem with that. But you cannot insist as a Siddhanta, as a philosophy, that Bhumi is everything. Because obviously, very obviously, there are so many things that are beyond Bhumi. So, Bhagavatpāda says that you cannot assert with any rational basis that Bhumi is everything. And likewise, the previous matam, it is Vayu matam. Of course, Vayu is also given a very important status. The Upanishad even says that Namaste Vajo Tveva Pratyaksham Brahma. You are the very explicit Brahmavastu, because it is Vayu that gives life to everything, no doubt. But again, Bhagavatpāda is going to explain here. Vayu is one of the Panchamahabhutas, which were created from Parabrahmavastu. And therefore, it is not appropriate to say that Vayu itself is Parabrahmavastu. Even in the next Prakana also, the similar discussion will come for Akasha. And Varuna also. Varuna is definitely, he has his own importance. He is considered a Dharmadhipati. But Varuna, we cannot say that Varuna is everything. There is no such Vedic passage which asserts that Varuna is everything. So, that is where Bhagavatpāda insists. Jagatkarana Vakya Viruddhatva. There is no Veda Pramana that shows that Varuna is Jagatkarana. He is the cause of all worlds. There is no such Pramana. And likewise, for Vayu also, because that Parabrahma is Akshara. But all these Panchamahabhutas are Kshara. That is, they are created, they undergo modification, and they are destroyed, dissolved at the end. So they cannot be, Vayu itself cannot be the permanent Shashvata Parabrahma. And likewise, Bhumi also. And this is what it is said in the Upanishad, from Akasha came, from the Atma Tattva, which is the Parabrahma Tattva, came Akasha. From Akasha came Vayu, from that came Agni, from that came water, and from that came earth. So likewise, for Tirtha also, even water is one of these Panchamahabhutas which was created, but so it cannot be Shashvata. Yes, there is some, there is definitely importance which is attached to Tirthas, Tirtha, Bhutanam Madhye, Tirthasya Uttamatvam, Varnayati, all those Vedic passages which you have quoted, that is true. But you cannot assert that you have just by doing upasana in the sense of meditation of this, that you are doing upasana of the Paramatma Tattva itself. There is no such basis to make that assertion. So, because of the absence of such basis, you cannot say that by doing this you will get moksha phala. Because what is being worshipped is not something that is shashvata. Then how can the upasana of that ashashvata vastu give a shashvata phala? So you please discard, all you people, discard these misunderstandings and understand that that single Parabrahma vastu is what is in the form of everything. Shuddha Advaita Nividya Nirataha Bhavata. So Acharya blesses them. You will reach that realization. Vishwataidasa Pragya Atita Parama Angushtamatra Brahmadvara Madolayanantaram Purnam Shuddham Brahma Prapya Mukta Bhavata Iti Agyaptaha. Bhagavatpāda blesses them. It is said Agyapta, he orders them, but it is a blessing, which has that Parabrahma Vastu, which is beyond the Jiva, which is residing in the three avasthas, in Jagrata Avastha, in the waking state of the name of Vishwa, in the dream state in the name of Taidasa, and in the deep sleep state in the name of Prajna. That Paramatma is beyond these three states, and he is just like he is described to be of the size of a thumb. Angushtamatra Purusho Madhyatmane Tishtati. Angushtamatra Purusha Angushthanta Samashritaha. So this is a reference to the size of the middle portion of the heart, so in which the Brahmavastu is considered to reside. And that Brahmavastu is beyond all these three avasthas, and our mind has to totally dissolve into that Brahmavastu. Then our Atmaswarupa will totally dissolve into it will merge into the Purna Shuddha Brahma. Is the Anugraha that Bhagavatpāda gives them. Therefore, they also understand, realize this, and they Shuddha Advaita Vidya Ashritaha Shishya Babu. They became Shishyas of Bhagavatpāda, accepting this Shuddha Advaita Vidya. Thus ends the 35th Prakarana, and the next 36th Prakarana is the discussion with the Shunya Matavad. So, Evam Nirakriteshu Punaranyaha Shunyavadi Pratyavatishthate Sakala Swaminam Natva Idam Vacha. So, another person who is a Shunyavadi, who considers Shunya. Shunya means null, void. So, that which does not exist. Okay, it will be further examined later on. That is the greatest tattva, is his mata. And so he also comes, he does also pay respect to this Bhagavatpāda. Obviously, by the Kanti, the Tejas of Bhagavatpāda, he bows and he says that my mama matam ati sukhadam tatha hi maya mama marge kinchit drishtam tat savadhanena manasa shunu. My mata is so very pleasant, and I learned something in my path. I will tell you, you please listen to that with concentration. And he quotes a shloka. This shloka is very well known in Vedanta Shastra, and it describes something which absolutely cannot be. Each of these words is something that cannot be, but upon listening to this the sentence, there are so many verses in Sanskrita which seem to be proper verses, but which are meaningless. But here, each and every word, each and every particular phrase refers to something that cannot exist, but the overall sentence construction makes it appear as if something is there. So, Mrigatrishtam bhasisnataha khapushpakrita shekharaha esha bandhya suto jati shasisranga dhanurdharaha. So, this person, there is a person is said to walk or go. But what kind of a person is he? He is a bandhya suta. He is a son of somebody who never had children. So this is something that can absolutely not exist. If somebody It did not have a children. It did not have any children. How can there be a son? And if there is a son, how can we say that that person did not have any children? So this is a contradictory word, but it is used nevertheless. So we can imagine something, try to imagine something like that, but which cannot really exist. And that person, he took a bath in what water? In the water of a mirage. So a mirage is something that here it is said Mriga Trishna. And the reason of the word Mriga Trishna is it is said that in forest areas, when some areas or some dry parts of forest, there is lots of drought there, and so there is no water, but all those animals, those deer and other animals are desirous of drinking water to quench their thirst, and so they are searching, and it appears because of the heat, when that heat is reflected either in deserts or in dry parts of forest, when it is reflected in the sand, and because of the heat of the air above the sand, the air appears to shake and it appears like water. And the animal runs towards that thinking that there is water, but it is fooled and it is disappointed. So that is called Mrigatrishna or mirage. And the water in a mirage, how can you take bath in it? You cannot, even the smallest drop, it will not make your body wet because there is no such water. And after taking such a bath, this person, again, who was born to somebody who had no children, that person takes the flower, a special flower. What kind of a flower is it? It is a flower which grows in the sky. So, what is such a flower? We don't know. Don't ask me where it is. But that is such a flower that person wears on his head, and he takes up a bow in his hand. What kind of a bow? A bow which is made up of the horn of a rabbit. So, how can a rabbit? We very well know that rabbits don't have horns. But Sasasringa, the word is used, and it seems to create some kind of impression in our mind. This is what is called in the Yoga Sutra Shabda Jnana Anupati Vastu Shunyo Vikalpa. So we listen to that word and makes it appear as if some such thing is there. But there is no such real Vastu. Uh, so that is why it is said Atyanta Satyabhyarthe Jnanam Shabda Karoti. The power of sound or the power of word is such that it makes something appear which absolutely cannot exist. But it does, this entire sentence or shloka has been constructed. So such a person, so what is the saramsha of this shloka? It is, the saramsha is that shunya. So this person believes that that is the greatest. On what basis we don't know, but he says tam drishtva deva bhavena pranamya shirasa bhrisham, that I saw that person who is mentioned in that shunya vastu is mentioned in the previous shloka. How can he see that? Again, don't ask. Pranamya shirasa, I paid respect. First, I tried to think whether it could be Twan Drishtva Deva Bhavena Pranamya shirasa bhrisham Agatosmi Yati Shreshtha. Oh, great sannyasi, I came to your place. Tavantikam aham dhrutam. I came fast to your place by seeing you and considering you as Bhagavan and doing namaskara. But actually, it is Tam Drishtva. It is not Twan Drishtva. So again, that compounds the effect of that which cannot really exist or happen. So this person says that he did namaskara to that shunya vastu. How it is, only he has to explain. Iti shrutva bho, there is a patha bheda here, bho vidyattara or vichitratara. Oh, great scholar, Bhagavatpāda calls him, oh strange person. Tannama kim? A unique question. In the earlier Prakaranas, probably everybody introduced their own names, but this person did not introduce his own name. So Bhagavatpāda asks, what is your name? Satu Punarvacha Swaminaham Niralambanama. My name is he who does not have basis. Niralamba. A very strange name, but which is appropriate to his mother. And what is his father's name? Matpita Kalpita Rupanama. My father, his name is he whose form has been imagined. So Manmatasya Pravakta, it seems that his father is the one who actually initiated this matam. Iti nishamya paramaguruhu itamaha bhoho niralamba bhavanmatam asamanjasam katham dasya shunyatvat. Your mata cannot be accepted. Why not? Because it is shunya. It does not exist. How can you accept something that does not exist? Right? So, tasya shunyatvat, shunyasyaiva brahmatvam. So, if you say that shunyam is brahmavastu, oh, that is sorry, I cannot accept that. Because tameo bhantam anubhati sarvam, that Shruti Vakya which speaks about brahmavastu says that brahmavastu shines, and everything that shines or appears because of the prakasha of the light shed by that brahmavastu. So how can something that does not exist, how can it shine? Hot surya tejo rupasya brahmanaha shunyatvam bhaktum anuchitam. So even if there are a crore suns, the prakasha of all those crore suns come from this brahmavastu only. How can you say that brahmavastu is shunya? तदधिक तत्सम स्वरूपाभावात् एकमेव अद्वितीयं ब्रह्म इति सर्वैः ब्रह्मा सर्वैरुपासनीयम् इति सिद्धान्तः. So there is nothing that is beyond that brahma vastu, there is nothing that equals that brahma vastu, and that single brahma vastu which is non-dual, that is what should be worshipped by everybody. That is the siddhanta. So please shed yourself of these false thoughts. Shunyamatam tyakta, shed yourself of the Shunyamata. Shuddha Advaita Vidyashrito Bhava iti niyamitaha api niralamba. So Acharya advises him. So you take up this Advaita Mata, which is good for you. Acharya insists on it, but Niralambaha Punaraha. So this Niralamba tries to modify his Mata. So maybe he thinks that okay, because if we keep talking about this Asat, so there are other words also, Asat, Alika, and Shunya. Everything refers to that which cannot exist. So he feels that maybe this is too much, and it is not possible to expect somebody to accept this mata. So he modifies that. He says that Akashasya Brahmatvam Yuktam Kila. Okay, let me put it this way. I will call space as Brahmavastu. Because space is something that is very close to Brahmavastu. Even in Siddhanta, it is said Akasha Shariram Brahma, Akashavat Sarvagatascha Nityaha. Akasha is all pervading, but you cannot perceive it. But it is accepted nevertheless. So let me say that Akasha, which is the closest thing to Brahma, even in Siddhanta, but I say that Akasha is that Brahmavastu. So he modifies his mata accordingly. And he says that Akashasya Brahmatvam Yuktam Katham Vyapakatvad Vedamolakatvad. So Akasha is present everywhere, and that is an important thing that is required in Brahmavastu. And Akasha is also having Vedic sanction. So because Veda says Akasham Akasha Deva Samutpadyante Akasham Prati Astinyanti, everything is formed from Akasha, everything dissolves into Akasha. Akasha is beyond everything, Akasha is the final resort of everything. Such words are there in the Upanishads, and even in the Brahma Sutra, a separate discussion has been done to prove that Akasha is Brahma. So we understand that the Veda is particular about this, and so if from Akasha everything is created, and within Akasha everything dissolves, then it is obvious that Akasha is the Parabrahma Vastu. Iti prapte punaracharye radamuchyate kim niralambam kim bravishi katham akashasya brahmatvam uchitam bhaktum. Oh niralamba, how come you are speaking like this? How can you say that Akasha is Parabrahma Vastu? Because Akasha is something that was created from the from Atma Vastu, like as was explained in the previous prakarana. So there is, it has its own qualities, and it is created, and from that is created something else. How can you say that Akasha is Brahmavastu? Akashad Vayu and so on, those Shruti Vakyas were explained earlier. Because so Akasha is also formed from that Brahmavastu. Yes, there are those passages which use that word Akasha to indicate from Akasha everything was formed, and within Akasha everything gets dissolved, and so on. Those passages do exist, but we have to understand that because of the very clear declaration, we cannot say I will take up this Veda Vakya only. We have to give due importance to all Veda Vakyas, and because this Veda Vakya clearly shows that these two things are separate. Parabrahma Vastu is separate, that is Atma Tattva, and from that Parabrahma Vastu, Akasha is formed. So those two are separate. So Parabrahma is also referred to by the word Akasha in some passages, and the Bhutakasha, this what is called the space, that is also referred to by the word Akasha in some other passages. So we have to understand which passage uses the word in which way, and of course there are passages like Akashaha Anandaha, which indicates that Parabrahma Vastu is Ananda Swarupa, and Akasha is what created Namarupa, which means Parabrahma. From that only Namarupa came. And so all these gunas, which are the gunas of Bhagavan, when they are used in conjunction with the word Akasha, then we have to understand that that word refers to the Paramatmakattva, that which is beyond the earth, the sky, and all these lokas. Such an Akasha has to be the Parabrahma Vastu. And there is a discussion in the Upanishad where one person by name Shalavatya, he discusses with Jaivali, and there that Jaivali wants to show, he shows lots of things that are impermanent, that are destroyed at some point of time, and then he slowly builds up and takes that Upadesha up to the Parabrahma Vastu, and he says that that is beyond this Akasha, and that is the Adhara of this Akasha also. And that is also mentioned in other passages. The Paramam Vyoma. Vyoma means Akasha. Paramam Vyoma means the Parabrahma Vastu. So, there in those particular passages, Akasha refers to the Brahma Vastu. You should understand this. The Upadesha which Acharya gave, and this Shunyabadi, so he is a Punyashali also. So, because of the Upadesha of Bhagavatpāda, Paramagurum Natva Idamaha, even though he had insisted upon his mata, he even tried to modify his mata, but by his Purva Punya Sukrita, he understood the mata, the Upadesha of Bhagavatpāda, and he says, "O Swamin Bhagavatpāda Darishanena Kritarthoham Punaha Brahmabodham Ichchami." What a great word. Adhihi Bhagavo Brahma. This is a very, very, very uh, rare word to want to have the fortune to utter. He speaks as Acharya, please teach me that, give me that Brahmajnana, tad Upadesham Kuru iti. Evan Jalpantam Niralambam Idamaha Guruhu. So the Guru Acharya Bhagavatpada teaches him the meaning of that Adhikarana, and says that there is the Akasha which is there in our heart, because the Upanishad says that Padmakosha Pratikasham Hridayan Chapi Adhomukham, the as if it is a closed lotus which is facing downwards, and there is that is Haram Vipapam Parameshma Bhutam, as per Bhashya. Parameshma Bhutam is there in the Adhyana Sampradaya, but the greatest, the residence of the greatest, the of Paramatma, is there in the heart. And there is an Akasha, Sukshma Akasha in that, and the Paramatma Vastu is within that. This is how it is described in the Upanishads. This is called Dahara Vidya, and Daharakyam Brahma Tad Upasya Satatam Kritartho Bhava. Ityuktaha. Acharya advises, because this person is already very much invested, he is dedicated to the concept of Akasha. So Acharya uses that to bringing up, and Acharya says that that Akasha, it has to be meditated upon. That Akasha, that Parabrahma Vastu is there within that Akasha. That is what we have to worship and we have to attain. Ityuktaha Shuddha Advaita Vidyashritaha Shishyaha Abhavat. So this he had the fortune to actually understand the Upadesha of Bhagavatpāda, and he also resorted to Advaita Vidya. He became a Shishya of Bhagavatpāda, and thus ends the 36th Prakarana of, and this part of this Shri Shankara Bhagavatpāda Aradhana Upanyasa Mala, and in the further parts we will be examining by Guru Kripa the further Prakaranas. Sarva Vyapaka Chaitanya Rupena Adyapi Tishtati Sayeva Shankaracharya Gurur Mukti Pradasata Hara Hara Shankara Jai Jai Shankara.